Well, that's stuff that down in DC we usually don't have to think about that. It's been cold and snowy here, but that is rather abnormal. So,
Yeah.
um, you are no stranger to video yourself, Sean. I know that you personally have 3 Mid-Atlantic Emmy Awards, regional Emmy Awards for your work. What makes a story or a video engaging? If we're going to give you cred for those shiny trophies.
I mean, first of all, it's motion pictures, so engaging pictures really helps, right?
Hmm.
And I think when I look back at your career, and, you were fantastic that in a video capacity to where, particularly on the early days of traditional still photojournalists getting into multimedia storytelling and documentary filmmaking. I mean, you could just see the potential at that time and some of the stuff you were doing at the Chronicle, just how beautifully things were shot. And it was that convergence of all of that equipment into a couple of, mirrorless or DSLRs that could fit in a backpack, to be able to go and create that kind of scope of work. And so,
Right.
I went to the boot camp, the NPPA boot camp in
Oh,
Syracuse, and I wanted to know and I wanted to learn. And it would take me a couple of years, but I would leave very inspired. Bruce Strong, I believe,
right.
was the director there. I'm not sure he still is, but he just reminded me why I got into it and reminded me what made a good story, big beginning, middle, and end, conflict, protagonist, just sort of all of these
Right.
little tidbits that constitute a great storytelling. And I just remember thinking like, wow, I'm not saying it's easy, but like I could do that. I could put those things together. And then if I could take some nice pictures, well, there you go. And so that was the evolution of it. And so when I try to determine what it is we're doing now, the first thing I do is assess what visuals are there or can be there. What do
Right.
we have or what can we get that offers the viewer something just purely visual? And then beyond that, and at least in the case of the award-winning work, it's like what context can we provide? And for
Right.
me, when you can provide broad context, very broad context in sort of multimedia form where you're showing and letting people see and hear, and you're getting those great interviews, that people elaborate why this subject is either engaging or important or historically significant. It's just kind of cool. And sometimes they feel more like, like just like happy accidents than anything, where you're just trying to collect and get things
Yeah.
moving. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is great. This,
Right.
this turned out really good.
Right. I think for me it was, I had done video before people talked about cinematic. I think we had, uh, I don't know, high eight video, and we were using video on actual tape in the early aughts. And then there was another threat of layoffs, and everybody put those away for a while. But then a couple of years later, we got those DSLRs that started shooting video. So suddenly, the same camera that I was using to shoot the still stuff I was doing every day, like immediately translated. And
Yeah. Game changer.
yeah, I mean, I would shoot still pictures and then shoot a clip and then go back and forth, which I'm to this day grateful that I didn't know anything about video at the time because I wasn't using any ND filters. I was shooting things at 5,000th of a second, which it took a film student from UC Berkeley to tell me that was I doing that intentionally or not, and he thought it was cool, but then I had to think about it. So, but I think the other thing about video that helped my journalism storytelling ability was the layering, that suddenly I had sounds. It wasn't just a visual thing. It was moving, but sound is a crucial part of it. And suddenly I could give a voice to the people's words that I was otherwise writing down. And it really made that stuff come alive. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's so true.
the skill set. A lot of people think they can do it, but I mean, it just is like, I can tell you have the same thing. There's like a magic that comes out of it. And when you do it right, or it feels right, or you're doing something that somebody else is going to respond to, it's kind of undescribable, right? So,
It is. And one of my biggest fascinations with history are the oral histories that people take in time you know, throughout the decades to record. And the further back they go, the better. It's just an ability for somebody that experienced a particular time in history in their own words. And it's just been a source of fascination for me. And I continue to use any oral histories I can find for documentaries. And I just absolutely agree. And audio, you're 100% right. You know, people will tolerate sort of rusty, gritty pictures, and you've seen it in every sort of punk rock skate video that's ever
Right.
been made, right? But the sound's always spot on, right? And
Right.
it's the truth. You can't
Right.
tolerate bad audio.